You don't need the whole map, just enough light for the next step. I'm Paul Rosen. I'm pastor at Ascension Lutheran Church in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I'll ask that you be sure that you like, share, and follow, and hope that you will follow me on this journey. You know, from my Ash Wednesday post, I've had a number of people who reached out and they've asked me about what Lent is all about and how does a person walk a spiritual journey through Lent. So I've created this weekly Lenten journey of reflection and scripture and hope. And so I'm so grateful that you are here. So I invite you to take a journey of faith, hope, and grace, and let's walk in the light together. And each week we will pause together. We'll breathe deeply and listen for quiet ways that God's light meets us in our real everyday lives. So wherever you are or however you listen, whether it's on the road or at home or in a moment of stillness, may this time draw you closer to the one who walks with us in love. And so as we step into the first week of Lent, we follow Jesus into a place most of us would rather avoid, the wilderness. And we take this from Matthew chapter 4, where Jesus was led by the Spirit up into the wilderness to be tested by the devil. And he lasted 40 days and 40 nights. Afterward, he was famished. And the tempter then came to him and said to him, "If you are the Son of God," and he had 3 challenges. We'll explore that a little. But before we go into that, have you ever noticed that the wilderness in Scripture is never just a location? It's a condition of the soul. It's the place where the familiar falls away, where our usual supports don't hold, where we are confronted with our hunger and our limits and our longing. And it's striking that it is the Spirit who is the one who leads Jesus up there. Not the devil, not circumstance, the Spirit. And I think that tells us something important. The wilderness is not a sign of God's absence. It is often the place where God does God's deepest work. Jesus enters the wilderness after his baptism, after the heavens open, and after the Spirit descends, and the voice of God declares, "This is my beloved Son." And immediately that belovedness is tested, not because God doubts it, but because the wilderness reveals what we trust. And so the tempter comes to Jesus with 3 invitations that sound so reasonable, actually, so practical, and even so appealing, especially for the one in the wilderness. And the first one, he says, "Turn these stones into bread." In other words, use your power to satisfy yourself. Take control. Fix your hunger on your own terms. Then he says, throw yourself down from the temple. In other words, force God's hand, demand certainty, and make God prove something to you. And the third one was, bow down and worship me, and I'll give you all the kingdoms of the world. In other words, take the shortcut. Choose glory without sacrifice. Choose the crown without the cross. These are not ancient temptations. They are human temptations. They are yours and my temptations. They are the temptations we deal with every day. And the temptation to grasp control when life feels uncertain. The temptation to demand guarantees from God when faith feels risky. The temptation to choose the easy path instead of the faithful one. But Jesus responds with a quiet, steady trust that's rooted in the Scripture. He doesn't do it with spectacle, not with argument, not with fear. He answers each temptation with the same conviction: I will trust God. And that is at the heart of walking in the light. Not having all the answers, not being spiritually impressive, not avoiding struggle, but trusting God in the wilderness, especially when the path is unclear. The wilderness is where our illusions fall away. It is where we discover what it is that we cling to. It is where we learn what truly sustains us. But here's the good news. Jesus does not avoid the wilderness. He walks into it. He walks through it, and he walks out of it, carrying a light that the darkness cannot overcome. Let me ask you, and I'll ask you gently, where is your wilderness right now? Where are you hungry? Where are you stretched thin? Where are you tempted to reach for something quick instead of something true? Lent is not about pretending those places don't exist. Lent is about naming them honestly and discovering that Jesus is already there. Bunny Graham, the daughter of Billy Graham, evangelist Billy Graham, once said, "Don't worry about tomorrow. God's already there." Well, because the one who faced the wilderness is the one who walks with you in yours, the one who refused the shortcuts is the one who strengthens you to take the faithful path. And the one who trusted the Father is the one who teaches your heart to trust again. So this week, as you walk your own wilderness roads, hear this promise: you do not walk alone. The light of Christ goes with you. It's steady, it's gentle, and it's enough for every step. So as you go into the days ahead, may the light of Christ guide your path, steady your spirit, and remind you that you never walk alone. I look forward to being with you again next week as we continue this journey of faith, hope, and grace together.